All right, folks, pull up a chair, grab a metaphorical cup of coffee, whatever suits you, because I've got a story that's just about guaranteed to make you shake your head, maybe laugh out loud, maybe even get a little fired up, depending on what kind of neighbors you've dealt with yourself. I wish I was making this up, but nah, it happened. Every head-shaking, exasperating, ultimately satisfying bit of it. Ever have one of those days where just minding your own business, doing perfectly normal things, somehow becomes a threat to someone's whole worldview, where your existence, your groceries, the way you cut your grass is suddenly a declaration of war? That's where this all started for me. Let me introduce you to Millicent Perwinkle. Yeah, that's her real name. She lived a couple doors down, and folks, I swear she could take a quiet Saturday and turn it into a full-blown episode of Neighborhood Court. She'd peer over her so-called prize-winning petunias, looked like angry purple weeds, if I'm honest, and make these pronouncements, the kind that come with just enough sugar you almost miss the sting. "Mr. Bellingham," she said one day as I was hauling groceries, "that organic kale you're buying, awfully ostentatious for this neighborhood, don't you think?" It was kale. Kale. Apparently my choice of leafy greens was a personal affront to the character of our street. I just blinked at her. Let the silence hang, my human buffering mode, buy myself a second to process nonsense. "Well, Millicent," I said, "it's good for digestion. You should try it, might sweeten your disposition." She huffed off purple as her hat. Now, my name's Samuel Bellingham, and I'm a lawyer, not the TV kind, more the contracts and commas variety, which means I like things neat, orderly, sensible. My wife, Myra, is the real saint around here. Teaches third grade, never loses her patience, always finds the good in people, even if it means squinting through a magnifying glass. We bought our little colonial 5 years back, painted it gray with white trim. Kept the lawn tidy. Living the so-called American dream, or so we thought. Most folks were decent, some even neighborly. But then there was Millicent, self-appointed guardian of some invisible standard no one else remembered voting on. She didn't just hate my kale, she hated our mailbox for being too modern, our wind chimes for being too ethnic, our Christmas lights for being too bright. She never said the quiet part loud, but if you've lived with this kind of thing, there's always an undercurrent. A little barb in every suggestion that maybe your family, your background just aren't quite right for her 1958 Rockwell painting of a block. I tried to ignore her, really I did. I told myself life's too short to let one person ruin your sense of home. But ignoring only works until it doesn't, until she catches you mowing the lawn, comes storming out in her floral housecoat, arms crossed, and informs you that counterclockwise mowing is an assault on tradition, that her late husband, Bartholomew, bless his soul, always went the other way. It's more considerate of the land, she says, like I'm out here bulldozing national parks. I'd just smile, nod, keep on living. But that's the thing about folks like Millicent, there's always another complaint, always another way you're doing it wrong. When Myra decorated our bushes with white lights for Christmas, Millicent cornered her by the mailboxes. "A bit glaring, don't you think?" she purred. "We like them," Myra replied, ever gracious. "Well, some of us prefer tradition," Millicent sniffed. She'd complain about the unsettling Motown playing from our kitchen, about all sorts of people coming and going when we had delivery folks over. Nothing overt, but always there. And we weren't the only black family in the neighborhood, but we were the ones she fixated on. Sometimes Myra would say maybe she's just lonely, old-fashioned, maybe it's not what it seems. But a bad day doesn't last for years, and it doesn't only show up when you're in her line of sight. The pattern was clear. But look, I'm a lawyer. I log complaints in my head. I try to see all sides. I assume logic will eventually win. That was my big mistake. Because Millicent, she was about to pull me into a legal battle so bizarre I couldn't have imagined it. It started at a gas station of all places. Myra was filling up her SUV on her way home. Nothing out of the ordinary, just running errands after a half day at school. I was driving home early myself. Saw her car at the pump, figured I'd say hi. And there in the next lane was Millicent, in her ancient beige station wagon, arms flailing, head bobbing, aimed straight at Myra. I parked a ways off lawyer's instinct, or maybe just a husband's watched, as Millicent started laying into Myra about God knows what. I couldn't hear it first, but the gestures told the story. Millicent angry. Myra confused, trying to stay calm, hands raised in peace. Then I saw it. Millicent reached out, grabbed Myra's arm, not gently, and Myra pulled away, shock all over her face. When Myra turned for the convenience store, probably to get help, Millicent actually shoved her from behind. That was it. Line crossed, set on fire. My own sense of calm snapped. I was out of the car and heading over, ready to do whatever it took to protect Myra, and if I'm honest, to make sure Millicent finally faced some real consequences. Now, if you're thinking Millicent backed down when I showed up, you don't know her. Instead, she doubled down, whipped out her ancient flip phone and called 911. Help, she screeched loud enough for half the city to hear. This woman's assaulting me. She's stealing my gas. She accused Myra right there of siphoning her gas in broad daylight at a busy station. I mean, what? A crowd gathered. The gas station attendant Kevin came out worried. Even then, Millicent kept it up, demanding Myra pay for her tank as compensation, insisting Myra had broken her car, which was sitting there perfectly fine. Myra held up her receipt. I stepped in voice low legal mode, engaged telling Millicent she was harassing and assaulting my wife, not the other way around. Did that stop her? Of course not. Your kind always causing trouble, she snapped. You ruined the neighborhood. She kept at it until the police showed up, 2 cruisers, lights flashing, officers splitting us up to hear each side. Millicent put on a show worthy of an Oscar. Trembling voice, tears all about the menacing Mrs. Bellingham and her threatening husband. But Kevin, bless him, told the truth, said he saw Millicent shouting, lunging, said Myra was just trying to get away. The officers checked the security cameras. Her car started just fine, no sabotage. When I calmly mentioned I was an attorney and that everything was being documented, including the racial slurs, the 911 call, the false accusations, Millicent's face lost about 3 shades of color. Back at home, Myra broke down. Not loud, just a quiet grief for the kind of world where a simple stop for gas turns into public humiliation. She asked, "Why? What did I ever do to her?" All I could say was nothing. This isn't about you, it's her. But that night, I started drafting a demand letter, the first shot in a legal war. I cited everything: assault, defamation, emotional distress, racial discrimination. I asked for a written apology, a no-contact agreement, and $5,000, sent it certified mail. A week later, we got her handwritten response, denial, outrage, threats of a countersuit for elder abuse. So we escalated, filed in civil court this time for $75,000, with a formal complaint of assault, battery, defamation, and violation of civil rights. When she got served, the voicemail started, "You're gold diggers, I'm the victim." But then a local lawyer, Alistair Finch, took her case. In the deposition, Maria Rodriguez, our firm's associate, dismantled every lie. Millicent contradicted herself, admitted under oath. Myra never attacked her, couldn't explain her claims, stammered through her justifications. It was all on the record, every prejudice, every false statement. After that, her lawyer wanted to settle. First offer, $1,000 and a limp apology. We said no. They came back at $5,000, but waffled on admitting wrongdoing. We held firm. That's when Millicent tried the old peace offering apple crumble straight out of the neighborly fake nice playbook. Myra refused, and we reminded them all communication goes through attorneys now. Pre-trial conference with Judge Vance. No patience for nonsense. Your client's position is precarious, she told Finch, and the evidence is damning. Our final offer, $50,000, a written apology, no contact, clear admission of wrongdoing. The judge said it was fair, suggested Millicent think hard before rolling the dice in court. 30 minutes later, they caved. We got the settlement, the apology, the no-contact order. We donated most of the money to a civil rights group. Because for us, this was never about cash. About 6 months later, a for sale sign went up in Millicent's yard. She moved out. New family moved in full of life and laughter. Myra's smile returned. That whole ugly chapter closed, and yeah, there's still a sting when I remember it, but there's also pride. We didn't rush, we didn't stoop to her level, we used the law, we stood our ground. So that's my story of Kale gas stations and slow burn revenge, all at a perfectly regulated legal temperature. It makes you wonder how many Millicents are out there still thinking their prejudice is just the way things are. What about you? Ever had a neighbor go full Periwinkle on you? Tell me your story below. What's right? What's wrong? How should communities handle this kind of thing? Let's talk about it. Because honestly, sharing stories like these is how things change.